Assalamualaikum. This is Sagar, the Network and vSphere Administrator. I'm a virtual instructor at Nanotech X. This is session 4 of Nanotech X. Today is 15 December 2022 and today is Thursday. So let's start the session. Let's wait a minute for others to join, then we will start our session. Waiting time is finished. Now let's start. Okay, welcome all members, and my screen is shared now. And let's start from where we left yesterday. Let me allow the member. So yesterday we have completed lecture 6 and from today we will start lecture number 7. So Cisco IOS is CLI or GUI. Cisco operating system for its intermediate devices is known as iOS. I've already told you iOS means Internet Network Operating System, or in short you can say Internet Operating System. So the question is Cisco iOS operating system for its intermediate devices is which of user interface, CLI or GUI? So the answer is CLI. Let me show you practically. I've already shown you yesterday, but for the new members who haven't joined yesterday's session, I'm repeating this lab because I want all of you to be clear on this point. Then we will proceed further. So you will perform a lab on this, that how the Cisco IOS operating system for its intermediate devices is CLI, not GUI. We will make you proof in the lab. Let's wait for the lab. And finally, it's opening. Let the Cisco packet tracer be opened. Then we'll perform the lab on this question. Let Cisco IOS is CLI or GUI? So the answer is CLI. Yes, it's finally opened. Look at this. For example, this is Cisco router ISR 4331 model. This is Cisco switch 295024. So look at this. This is CLI. This is iOS of what? Cisco intermediate device. Internet Network Operating System. But the question was that its user interface is what? CLI or GUI. So GUI means click to graphics. CLI means to commands we can interact with the operating system. So this is CLI. Look at this. iOS is CLI command line interface. This is soft switch. If we talk about router, Cisco router, look at this. iOS is the operating system and it is CLI. So the lab is performed finally. Let's move further. Question is what is MikroTik? It is the name of the company. It is famous due to its networking products. Like Cisco, MikroTik is also a company which creates its networking products like routers, switches, firewall, etc. And it's the name of the company like Cisco, Huawei, Juniper for networking products. What is the name of operating system of MikroTik intermediate devices? Like we have covered in the previous lecture, that let me show you this one. That the operating system of intermediate devices from different vendors, from different companies. So the Cisco intermediate devices operating system is iOS Internet Network Operating System. The Juniper intermediate devices operating system is Jonas Juniper Network Operating System. Huawei intermediate devices operating system is VRP, Versatile Routing Platform. So the question is, what is the name of operating system of MikroTik intermediate devices? So the answer is a router OS, router operating system. Let me make you clear two graphics. For example, these are some circles representing some vendors. Like this is Cisco, this is Huawei, this is Juniper, and this is MikroTik. So the question is that these companies produce networking products, which means intermediate devices. So what is the operating system of these intermediate devices made by different vendors? So the task is this one. So let's perform this task. So in square, we will represent operating system. So now look at this. For example, first one is Cisco. Another vendor name is for its networking products is MikroTik. Huawei, Juniper. So the task is that what are the operating system names of these companies' intermediate devices? So the first answer is Cisco operating system for its intermediate devices is iOS, Internet Network Operating System. MikroTik intermediate devices operating system is known as Router OS, Router Operating System. Huawei operating system is VRP for its intermediate devices, stand for Versatile Routing Platform. Juniper operating system for its networking products or intermediate devices is known as Jonas. Jonas stands for Juniper Network Operating System. Look at this. JU stands for Juniper, N for Network, OS for Operating System. So Jonas stands for Juniper Network Operating System, which means that the Juniper Networking Devices Operating System. So let me serve this for all of you. I will share this after the session as well. If you have any question, you can ask in chat box. I will take the questions. So the answer is Router OS. Router operating system is the operating system of intermediate devices made by MikroTik company, which creates its networking products. So let's move forward. MikroTik UI is CLI or GUI. The question means that MikroTik devices operating system, which means router operating system. So it is based on which user interface? Command interface or graphical user interface? So the answer is both CLI and GUI. It means that some of its router operating system for its networking products are based on CLI user interface and some are GUI user interface. Another question is Huawei UI is CLI or GUI. It means that Huawei networking product operating system, which name is VRP versatile routing platform. So it is which kind of interface, which kind of user interface it have, CLI or GUI. So the answer is CLI, command line interface. Another question is Juniper UI is CLI or GUI. Like I said, that Juniper Intermediate Devices operating system name is Juniper Network Operating System. JU for Juniper, N for Network, OS for Operating System. So Juniper Network Operating System, join as Juniper Network Operating System. So it is based on which user interface, CLI or GUI. So the answer is CLI because you interact in Jonas with commands, not with graphics by clicking on some kind of icons or folders or files and perform specific operation through graphics. It is based on CLI, not GUI, okay? It means that you should enter some commands for performing specific tasks. Another question is window UI is CLI or GUI, so you know this, GUI. Another question is MacBook is CLI based or GUI based UI, so surely GUI. Android UI is CLI or GUI, surely you all know GUI. Linux UI is CLI or GUI, you all know CLI. So lecture 7 is finished now. If you have any question, you can ask in chat box. Let's start the new lecture, lecture number 8. Yesterday we have talked about resources, RAM, ROM, hard disk, drives, solid state drives, central processing unit, about dumb device, end device. We also differentiate dumb and end devices. We also differentiate host and end devices. You also differentiate host and standalone devices as well in yesterday lecture. If you haven't watched, you can watch the session 3 because this is session 4 live now. So let's move forward. Intermediate device in this diagram is access point through which these end devices, which are mobile or smartphones, whatever you want to say, tablet or iPad, these are connected through access point and they can communicate through Wi-Fi. Because the Wi-Fi is on, because mobile one is connected to access point wirelessly. That's why Wi-Fi is on. And here it's also the same situation. And through access points, these devices can communicate with each other by wireless connectivity. Let's move forward. Look at this. Start topology is used nowadays in production environment in which we use switch instead of hub. But in the old days, we used hub instead of switch. But nowadays we use switch. Why? Because switch replaces bridge plus hub. And in the old days, you all know that there were two devices to manage the strong topology, not only hub. One is called bridge as well. Hub plus bridge was a good connection. If only hub, then that was not a good connection. So that's why nowadays switch replace bridge plus hub both. So in production environment, we use switch, not bridge plus hub solution for star topology creation. Now look at this. This is intermediate device which forwards traffic if some PC or some end device want to send the traffic from one node to another node. Kindly come on the time because it disturbs the class. Now let's move forward. This was the example of wired connectivity. Through wired you are connected to intermediate device. And this is the example of wireless connectivity. Look at this. This is what? Intermediate device. This is what? Intermediate device. This is what? Switch, because through switch we can connect with each other by wire, by medium, by cable, by guided media. But in wireless connectivity, you don't use what? Cable. Why? Because in wireless connectivity, you wireless mean not wire. It means through ear, through radio waves and ear, you can communicate with one another by access point. Access point is also known as wireless switch. Here W is missing, sorry for that. So it is basically a wireless switch. Access point is what? Wireless switch. This is wired switch. Through wired you can connect with each other. But through wireless switch, which is also known as AP, AP stands for access point, you can communicate with each other by which connectivity? Wireless connectivity. And ear through radio waves. So let's move forward. This is not for all of you because this is written in some kind of language known as Urdu, if you know. So let's move forward. These are some networking protocols. Let me tell you the names. STP, Rep version 1, Rep version 2, OSPF, EIGRP, IGRP, BGP, in which there are two types, IGP and AGP, ISIs, RSTP, RST plus, RSTP plus, PSTP, PVSTP plus, RPVSTP, RPVST plus, MST, MST plus, Ethernet, frame relay, label, IPv4, IPv6, MAC, MPLS, ICMP, HTTP, HTTPS, Telnet, SSH, FTP, TFTP, ping, DTP, negotiation, DD, DA, EDGE 2.1Q, ISL, AGP, LACP, VTP, ARP, reverse ARP, TCP, UDP, DHCP, SFTP, SFPT, POP, DNS, SNMP, SMTP. So these are some 50 networking protocols, but it doesn't mean that networking protocols are 50. It is more than 50 actually, but we mentioned only 50. So these were some name of networking protocols which you will learn with us in the CCNA and CCNP course. Because some protocols are based on the CCNA course and some are based on like BGP. It is based on what? CCNP course. So you can learn this in the CCNA and CCNP advanced courses of Cisco. Now let's move forward. But in Network Essential, at least I have told you the names of networking protocols. Let me allow the member. Why protocols are compulsory in networking? The question is, in networking, why we use protocols? Is it compulsory to use? So let's know the answer. Protocols are basically rules and regulations. Look at this. Protocols are what? Basically rules and regulations. So after connectivity, if it will wired or wireless connectivity, for communication, if devices don't agree on protocols, which means rules and regulations, then communication cannot be occurred. So it is clear that if devices are connected even through wired or wireless connectivity, they cannot communicate until they doesn't agree on what rules and regulations known as protocols and networking. So that's why we say that protocols are compulsory in networking to use. Why? Because without protocol, if you're connected with another device through wireless switch known as access point, which makes wireless connectivity over, you adapt a solution of wired connectivity through which you connect with the switch, like for example, Cisco switch through wired you connect with each other, then you cannot communicate. If you are even connected, why? Because your devices will not agree on the protocols, on the rules and regulations, then they cannot communicate with each other. Like here in particular example, this is wireless switch, and through wireless switch you are connected wirelessly with each other, but you cannot communicate. Like let me explain this diagram. For example, these are three mobile end devices and this is intermediate device. This just forward the traffic wirelessly and they send and receive the message because these are end devices and this is network device, intermediate device. Now look at this. For example, there is a protocol pin which is famous for checking that is this device able to communicate with another device or not. So for example, in this mobile, the ping protocol is allowed and in this mobile, ping protocol is allowed. But in this mobile, ping protocol is not allowed. And these three are connected through wireless switch. Then the solution is that only mobile 1 can communicate with mobile 2 and mobile 2 can communicate with mobile 1. But this mobile cannot communicate. Look at this, I highlighted this with a red color that this mobile cannot communicate in a network. Not even with mobile 2, not even with mobile 1. And no mobile 1 and mobile 2 can communicate with mobile 3 because it don't allow ping protocol. So that's why. So it cannot communicate in the network, even it is connected. So this is a real life example. Let's move forward. Addresses have two types. Addresses have two types. Which one? Physical address and logical address. Physical address means MAC address, media access control address, data link level address. Logical address means IP address, internet protocol address, layer 3 address. So, physical address is available on any device physically. Physical address is available on intermediate device physically. But logical address is available on all end devices logically, not physically. But now look at this point to be noted. The logical address, which is known as IP address, is available logically, not physically, but on some intermediate devices. On which intermediate devices? Which ports are routed ports. Routed ports mean to which we can assign logical address. So that's why those intermediate devices which ports are routed ports to which we can assign logical address, so that would have a logical address, and to which intermediate devices ports are non-routed ports means we cannot assign logical address. So it is clear that the logical address will not be available on those intermediate devices. So this is the diagram. For example, this is your home and this is my home, for example, and there is a road, for example, and you want to come through road by bus or by cycle, etc., from your home to my home. So you should just know my address, my home address, then you can come. So this is the real life example of address. But in networking, there are two types: physical address, logical address. Already explained it. We will take from here. Now let's move to lecture. If you have any question, you can ask. I will appreciate. So let's move forward. And remember that tomorrow you all should come in the session, because let me tell you the timetable. From Monday to Sunday, no holiday in week. Throughout all week, you should take the classes. Why? Because you know that this is 15 days networking bootcamp, and if you will attend 2 weeks 2 weeks classes each day, then it is 14 days, and our bootcamp is 15 days. So that's why on Monday, after 2 weeks, we will complete. Then it will be 15 days networking bootcamp. So that's why after Monday, you all will be free and you will not take live classes. So just bear up to 2 weeks and 1 day. Then you will enjoy holidays for all the time. So that's why there is no holiday, because this is just short course boot camp, not a proper course of 2 to 3 months like CCNA and 4 to 5 months like CCMP, etc. So that's why. So that's why just roughly I want to tell you. Did notice this. Let's move forward and start from lecture number 8. When we do networking, so how we can connect end devices through intermediate devices. The question is that when we do networking means to create a network, process of creating a network. Network means connectivity plus communication. So the question is, when we do networking, when we create a network, okay. So the question is how we can connect end devices through intermediate device. Means that how we can connect end devices through intermediate device. Like end device send and receive the traffic, and intermediate device forward the traffic from end device to another end device. So the answer is connectivity. Question was how we can connect. So connectivity of devices can be occurred in two ways and wireless. So the answer is clear cut that what connectivity can be done in two ways. Which one? First is wired connectivity. Second is wireless connectivity. Again, I'm explaining. The answer is connectivity of devices can be occurred in two ways. Like end devices can be connected through intermediate devices by two solutions. First is wired and second is wireless. So remember that I've already explained here. Let me show you. Look at this. This is wired connectivity and devices are connected through intermediate device. But by which connectivity? Wired connectivity. Wire is used. But in this topology, you can see that end devices, mobile, PC, laptop, mobile. These are connected through intermediate device, which is also known as wireless switch or AP or access point. So this is wireless connectivity. So we have connected end devices through intermediate device by which connectivity? Wireless connectivity. So I have shown you practically that connectivity can be occurred in two ways, wired or wireless. So intermediate device can be connected even this or this one. This is wired switch and this is wireless switch. So this can be connected to end devices. Look at this, and end devices can communicate through intermediate device. This can send and receive data and it can forward traffic. It can forward traffic. Let's move forward. So in 1984, Cisco company name was not Cisco. In 1984, its name was Cisco System. But in 2006, but in 2006, after 22 years, the company changed its name from Cisco System to Cisco, purely Cisco. Remember this point. Again, I'm repeating. In 1984, Cisco company name was not Cisco. It was Cisco System. But after 22 years, but in 2006, the company changed its name from Cisco System to Cisco. Let's move forward. Let's know the vendors or company name of the intermediate devices. So Mycotic, you already know. Huawei, you already know. Juniper, you already know. Cisco, you already know. And there are many more as well. Let's know the vendors and or company names of end devices. You know HP, Dell, Apple, Lenovo ThinkPad for Android, Huawei as well. So Huawei creates also the end devices like mobile phone, Android, and it's also the company of intermediate devices as well, like routers, switches, firewall, etc. And you know there's the Huawei cloud computing solution as well. Another thing is that let me tell you that if you talk about laptops, so HP is the brand, Dell is the brand, Lenovo is the brand, but HP is most popular in creating the end device, especially laptops, PCs, etc. So this was lecture 8. Let's move forward with lecture 9. Where is lecture 9? Let me search for it. Yes, here it is. Lecture 9. Look at this. When you were a kid, like you studied up to metric or FSC, I mean that you completed your 12 year education, for example, at least. So in 12 year education, you know these subject names, physics, maths at least. If you don't know about networking, you are basics in this. So network essential 15 days bootcamp, you will be clear about networking. So now look at this diagram. In physics, you know that we use law for solving a problem. But in maths, we use formulas for solving a problem. But in networking, we use protocol for solving a problem, for solving a communication problems. Because we have already explained to you, you can also look at this. Which one? This one. Look at this. I already explained in this diagram that without protocols in creating a network, you cannot communicate with another device until and unless you are not agree on protocols. If even you are connected through wired or wireless connectivity. So this is the best example, I think, that without protocol you cannot communicate with another device if you are connected through wired or wireless connectivity. So protocols are compulsory in networking. Okay. Again, I'm repeating. Again, I'm repeating to make you clear that in networking, without protocol, you cannot communicate with another device. Why? Even if you are connected through wired or wireless connectivity, you cannot communicate with another device in networking. Why? Because protocol means rules and regulations. So if devices in a network don't agree on rules and regulations, then they cannot communicate. So like in physics, law is important. In maths, formula is important. So in networking, protocol is important. Remember this diagram. Let's move forward. Question is, what is meant by protocols? Like the term protocol I'm using again and again. I've already explained you that protocol means rules and regulations. So here you can see protocol means rules and regulations. For communication after connectivity in a network, we use protocols. If you are connected in a network, then you can communicate. But the condition is that you should agree on protocols. You don't agree, even if you are connected, then you cannot communicate with another device. That's why we say that in networking protocols are compulsory. I've repeated this sentence, I think, minimum 4 to 5 times to make you clear. So you should clear about protocols now. Let's move forward. Question is, what is NIC? NIC stands for Network Interface Card. Again, I'm repeating, NIC stands for N for network, I for interface, C for card. Network interface card. It is basically a type of card which have interface or port in its outer shell, and it is used in a network. It have physical address, also known as data link layer address or layer 2 address or MAC address or media access control. On this network interface card, remember, there is a physical address. There is a physical address written on it. Written on it. That physical address is known as data link layer address or layer 2 address or MAC address or media access control address. It have two types. NIC have two types. NIC have two types. Remember, NIC is used in a network. So I have told you in a network there are two types of connectivity, wired and wireless. So surely if you make a network of wired connectivity, then you need which NIC? Wired NIC, which is also known as Ethernet NIC. But for example, you want to deploy a network of wireless connectivity, then surely in your end devices there should be what? Wireless NIC, not wired NIC. Remember this point. It is also known as network adapter, NIC, or network interface card or network adapter are same. This is lecture 9. Let's start lecture number 10. You can ask any question you have. Let's move with this. Routed port. What is a routed port? If someone asks you what is a routed port, so port to which we can assign logical address is known as routed port. Port or interface to which we can assign IP address or logical address. That port is known as what? Routed port. So if someone asks you that what is non-routed port, what would be your answer? If someone asks you that what is non-routed port, what would be your answer? Let me wait in chat box for your answers. That if someone asks you what is non-routed ports, what would be your answer? Let me wait in chat box. Who will answer quickly? I'm giving you 30 seconds to answer. Then we will proceed further. If anyone doesn't answer, it means that they don't. What it mean by non-routed ports? So the time is finished. And now let's proceed further. I think don't know. You people don't know about non-routed ports. Let me make it clear. Look at this. Routed port means port to which we can assign logical address or IP address. So non-routed port means port to which we cannot assign logical address or to which we cannot assign IP address. Simple as that. Not a rocket science that you cannot answer. Routed port is also known as routed interface. Surely, port is known as interface, so router port is also known as router interface. Port. Port is also known as interface. Through port, we can connect devices with each other. Through port, we can connect devices with each other by wired connectivity, not wireless connectivity. Remember this. Like this is VGA port, this is HDMI port. For example, projector and USB, we want to connect with PC. So we can connect with PC through ports. Like there is USB port, then you will plug in USB in your PC through USB port. So projector for projector, you should what? You should plug in your projector cable in what? In HDMI port or VGA port in PC. Then your projector will start working. And fast Ethernet port is used for communication in a network. If you haven't fast Ethernet port, then it means you haven't wired NIC, because wired NIC is used for connecting your device with another device through wire connectivity. So if you want to connect with router or switch through wire, then there should be wired NIC, and wired NIC have outer interface known as fast Ethernet port or Ethernet port. So let's move forward. Remember this, IP address known to hacker then your PC is not safe. For example, you are connected to internet, then you have listened about this that when you are connected to internet then you are not safe. Why? Because when internet is on, your IP address is on. Your IP address is known to what? To outside of the world people, to hackers. So that's why internet is not safe. On internet, when you are connected, your PC is not safe, because when you turn on your internet, then your IP addresses appear to outside the world people. And when you turn off internet, then your PC haven't IP. So if your PC haven't IP, then hacker cannot attack in a network through IP to your device. So remember this point. End device cannot be secured easily. It means that end device cannot be secured easily. That end device is connected with another device through intermediate device. So basically, it is not an easy task to secure the end device. Why? Because it is part of a network, and when some device is part of a network, it has IP address, and through IP address, this device can communicate with each other, and hacker or malicious person can attack through IP on your PC as well. So that's why this is true that end device cannot be secured easily. Another thing is standalone devices are always secured. Remember this. Standalone devices are always secured. Why? Because standalone device is not connected to internet, even wired or wireless. It cannot communicate with another device. It is standalone. So that is why it is always secured, because it haven't IP address. And when it haven't IP address, then hacker cannot attack on your PC. Okay? USB port, HDMI port, VGA port, and fast Ethernet port for testing. You remember these names or not? NIC stands for network interface card. This is network interface card. Which one? Wired net, because it have port outside its board. It is also known as network adapter. Physical address is written on what? This NIC, like here. It is zoom in here. This is physical address, also known as layer 2 address, also known as data link layer address, also known as MAC address, also known as media access control address. MAC. We will start from here in next session, and we have covered up to lecture 9, and we will start from lecture 10 in other lecture. And I think this was enough for today's session. Now I am going to take the session questions answer segment. Then after question answer segment, we will close the session. And I request to all of you that you can quit now, because the lecture is finished. And if you have any question, you can ask. If you haven't any question, you can say clear. So I will quit the session in 2 to 3 minutes, because that was it, and it's enough for today. We have studied a lot in a less time, so that's why. If I will continue, then it will be a big burden on all of you. So that's all. We are going to end the session. No question. Thanks. Welcome always. Thanks for the session. Thank you so much for appreciating. What is meant by IP routing? Routing means to select the best path between the source and destination. Like for example, there is a device known as sender. So we say source. There is a device known as receiver. We say destination. So there are multiple paths in internet through which data can be sent from source to destination. To select a best path for communication between these source and destination devices, routing concept is used because through routing we can select what best path and multiple paths. So this was the answer. If VPN or proxy is used, can hackers know our real IP? So isn't safe to use VPN always? No, no. Why? Because you know what actually in all over the world everything have is break. Like for example, Palo Alto firewall or Fortinet firewall, how much security is, even it secure the network. And you know that hacker can attack the firewall as well, which is a security device and secure the network. So even hacker can attack firewall as well. So what is VPN for the hacker? Nothing else. But yes, for some extent we can say this. But it doesn't mean that through VPN we can secure our end device 100%. For example, if it is possible, then tell me if in organization our people use VPN and they hide their IPs, then how if there this is real point like you said, then if hacker cannot attack, then what hacker will do? So hacker can attack anything. That's why he is known as hacker. It doesn't mean that, for example, in an organization, you secure your device by VPN installation and you hide your IP. If it is the solution, then many organizations can be safe from hacker. So it's not the solution basically. But for some extent, your point is valid. Thanks a lot for time and knowledge sharing. Welcome always. Is IP routing done for LAN only? No. Basically, IP routing is the concept of WAN technology. And LAN technology, we use switching concept. Like basically in LAN, why we use switching? In LAN, there are devices to communicate through switch. Through switch, they can communicate with each other. So switching means like this, but routing means and when have different networks. In different networks, your source and destination communicate with each other in different networks, not in the same network. So that's why routing is a WAN technology in which from source to destination in multiple paths, one path is selected as a best path. So this is known as routing. I will appreciate the questions if you will ask. If you haven't question, you can say clear and you can quit the session because we have finished the lecture. We are just waiting for the questions if you have. If you haven't, you can quit the session. Here is a question from Tila Mohammed. Can you explain VLAN routing? Yeah, why not? Like VLAN mean that virtual local area network. Basically, VLAN is the technology through which we can create virtual switches in a physical switch. But remember that VLAN routing means that you want to communicate between different VLAN devices. The devices which belongs from different VLAN, different virtual switches. Then, when you want to communicate those devices which are from different VLAN, from different network in a LAN, then you use routing concept, which is known as inter-VLAN routing. Inter-VLAN routing can be done in 3 to 4 ways, like with routed and non-routed ports. Another one is known as inter-VLAN routing with SUI switch virtual interface. Another way is interviewing with, I think, interviewing with router on a stick. Yeah, yeah, I remember now. Router on a stick. I think you know that router on a stick concept. So these are some ways through which you can communicate VLAN routing concept. Sorry, through which you can communicate different VLAN devices, which is known as VLAN routing, inter-VLAN routing. How many switch layers are at minimum required for it? Basically, for example, you have a switch, okay, and you want to create a VLAN. So by default, there are 5 VLANs available: 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1005. These are 4 VLANs for token lanes, and the one is VLAN 1 by default VLAN. So these are 5 virtual switches by default, and every new switch you buy, but you can create another VLANs as well. So how many switch layers are at minimum required for it? So basically there are 5 minimum available, but you can create how much VLAN you want, and the VLAN range is, I think, 0 to 65,000. I think it is not confirmed. I think I forgot that exact figures that how much VLAN you can create. I think 4096 is the accurate answer. Yeah, we give you in the chat box. You can create how many VLANs? You can create 4094 VLANs, because you should exclude the 1 VLAN because 0 VLAN is not available. Thanks for answering. Thank you so much, Tila Mohammed, for appreciation. Now let's quit the session. We will meet in next session. Till Allah Hafiz. Goodbye.